So today, I'm honored to introduce to you our expert speaker for the day. It's Chandra Padmanabhan, educator and principal at Dean's Pre University, Bangalore. And in conversation, we have our very own Deepa Bhalerao, who has been the head for the mental health vertical and has had over 20 plus years of counseling experience with various population groups. Without further ado, I would like to hand over to Deepa ma'am to start the conversation.
It's wonderful to share space with a smiling principal because principals have always evoked fear and many other not so positive emotions. So, first of all, thank you for being here, Chandra. And it's good to see that glowing smile. I can only imagine how nice the students must be feeling seeing you
It would be
because,
my pleasure.
and I
I
know,
think we'll have to break the stereotype that principals are serious or they are.
so happy to hear that because we come from a time when we were fear was
Yeah, you can see.
the one tool that educators used a lot, and I'm very glad to know things have changed. But as parents, as educators, and I have been a school counselor, I think we are now grappling with a different reality altogether.
Absolutely.
Um, Completely. So I would like to, we've been introduced. I won't spend too much time doing that, and I know that
Yeah.
with decades of experience, and you continue to guide and mentor children, and of a particular age, which most of us consider most difficult because that's the time when you are becoming an adult. You're not yet an adult but almost there, and your work, your educational demands are the highest because you're choosing a career, and there's a
Right.
lot of pressure from like just everywhere. So that age is tough in many ways, developmentally, education wise, then also you to make big decisions. And well, who better than you to know what goes
Absolutely.
on in children's, I don't know if to call them children or youth now. So my first question to you would be, and yes, maybe it's a cliched question, but we really want to hear from you, that as an educator who has seen children, adolescents and youth over the years, many years, have things changed, and if yes, what has changed?
That's a nice thing. As you said, I mean, things changed. Certainly, things have changed. I won't say that's why the change is there. The principal, uh, my principal was not like me, and I'm sure over the years it will change because the world is changing. If you see, we always say that the children have changed. What children were earlier not the same, but it's not that. It's actually the world in which they are growing has changed. The culture in which they are has changed completely. So earlier generation, uh, it was to be the lives were much slower. They were the families were much closer to each other. The bonding was different. All those, and there was a culture. There was the authority was very structured, was very clear, defined, which is not the case now, including a lot of things. If you see the toys, the comparisons, all that has changed. So I don't say children have changed. It is more like the world in which they are growing has changed, and that's why we see there is the children. There are different kind of children now because the parenting culture has also changed. Now, if you see, the exposure is so high for the children. Like I don't remember till the age I was like 18 or 20. I mean, I got my first mobile phone, the button phone, at the age of 21 when I graduated. But now I could see a second grade child having a smartphone, the best of the smartphone with all the connections in it. So their exposure towards things have changed. They read a lot, they see a lot. And also, I mean, that's something which I don't know. I have been noticing this. There's a lot of exposure to adult issues for the children. Younger generation, they are like, they look at success, they look at their body image. They're very particular about it. The competition, we assume that children are not, but actually they're very the competition spirit is very high on them. They often lead to comparisons with their own counterparts, with their own friends. They do that, and always, I mean, some might be positive but some might be not. So all these or what is changing for them. You know what? People say that these children are very outspoken these days because of the awareness they have got it. They are able to articulate it. That's more important. Like, I mean, I don't want to, because certainly I do. I mean, that's something which I always preach. Don't compare your generation with the younger generation, or don't compare yours. So, but if you see that it has changed a lot to what it was, so it is important that these children understand uh, the option. Like, for example, if you take choices, I remember, I mean, just wanted to quote my personal part out here. When I was in my grade 8 or 9 kind of thing, my favorite subject was math. I used to always love that subject. So I had a thought that I can take science, then I'll have to do engineering, or BSc mathematics or something, which didn't have so much, I mean, didn't have made much value for me. I know that engineering is not something which my family can manage to do at that time. So I opted another stream where I can still explore with math. But because the exposure was less for me, that I could still do a lot. But that's not the case. At the grade two, children are going to Akash, Allen, career counselor, all these. See, even these are something which is sometimes making them more anxious. You know, it is stretching them beyond what they could do. So these kind of exposure, the career counselors guide them. This is your strength, this is your weakness, you can work on this. So all this put together, I would just say that as the world is changing, world is growing, children are part of it. So they are also growing, they are also changing based on what is happening around. So that's why you see, I mean, they are not weaker sector. I mean, because a lot of
Hmm.
talks are going on these days. Because I could hear that these days children are quite weak, or like they talk about depression or anything. I mean, it's very common about such things
Yes.
and all. But it's not that they're weak. It's just that they're carrying too much.
Hmm.
Unlike the older generation, they're carrying too much. So obviously, when they're carrying, that is somewhere going to have an emotional impact on them. They are little, I mean, they're little loud sometimes. They're very shy at times. They have less control over the anger. Tantrums are high. All this is because of the world changing, the competitions. I mean, it's all that. So, and it's important that we accept it and how we can help them over it. So that's something which I've seen. So if you see, the world is changing, the children have changed certainly, because years, decades ago, uh, the students whom I have taught are still in connection, connected with me. But that's
Yes.
not the case the last year or the previous year, last 2 years back. And of all that, I mean, let's quote, COVID is one which has definitely affected them.
True.
The mental health has definitely affected. So that bonding, the disconnection has all happened. That's why, I mean, let's not blame the children that they have changed. Let's say that the world is changing. That's why children are also changing. Parents are also changing. Educators are also changing. The entire system has changed. And it's growing. Each day it is growing. So that's how
Yes.
I put it across.
How beautifully articulated, the fact that you were keeping children at the top of your priority, because I think this is a beautiful change. We were always looking at people in authority during, a couple of generations ago, as you were always on opposite sides. The educators are waiting to tell you what is wrong with you, and we were waiting to complain, and that used to be one favorite pastime. And
Yeah,
it's wonderful
true.
to hear and to see. I mean, the way you are speaking up for the children, it's very heartening, because what you said is right. These are difficult times. We are trying to make sense of the world, of what's going on, and we are adults, and these are children who are yet to understand everything, and the way the world is expanding, growing, confusing. So it does make a lot of space has to be given for that. So I think it's you've put it in the right perspective, because it's very easy to say and judge that, oh, the children are no longer serious, or they're very different, or they're very casual. I've heard these things, and I think these
Yeah,
are
agreed.
careless statements. They may have been said in jest, or they may have been said lightly, but they're definitely fairly harsh judgments. So thank you for putting, the context is important, because I always feel for all of us as educators, parents, anybody who's supporting children, they are center stage for us. And honestly, as you said, everything is changing, and I'm speaking up for all of us who are, taking care or connecting with the children in some way or the other. There's a lot of struggle happening there too, because I think our worlds were simpler, and maybe the difference between our parent generation and ours wasn't, it was there, but it wasn't such a big one. You see children's or youngsters speaking a language which you really wonder, is it a foreign language? Because I don't seem to understand anything. The way they communicate with each other seems mysterious. Their words are mysterious, their slang is mysterious, their language is difficult. Sometimes you are in a class, and I have heard this a lot. Don't have I have not had the chance of being in a class with such young children. But I'm told that teachers are also a little confused, thinking, okay, what is this? It is a real struggle. So parents and everybody else, they're struggling. So how do you think, since you seem to have such beautiful insights, what would you like to say for the other side now, because given what things are and understanding everything, yet I think this is the biggest struggle, because everything on social media is about, I don't understand my child, they're from another planet. What do you have to say about that?
Can't agree more with you. So, as you were saying, the language. So, we do see in the answer papers or in their notebooks, children have a very, very basic thing. They're not able to write the spelling for because. They write COS. I mean, it's not that they're doing it deliberately, because that's how they're thinking. Because the fast moving life of texting has made them like. So, what has become WAT? It's no more WHAT, it is. So all these has changed. But see, the struggle when you say parent understand, but they struggle to understand their children. So my only advice to, not advice, sorry, I'm no way to give an advice, but just my perspective that first we cannot compare our generation, or we cannot compare. So I always tell parents that don't tell them that I was I had such limited resources, I managed with it, I grew up with it, and all that will not work for the current generation children, because it's not about the generation gap in age or the number of years or anything. It's about the experiences. That's the gap which has been created. So I cannot see. Can I ask myself that am I like my mother? No, I'm not like my mother. How can I expect my child to be like me when I was of the same age? Absolutely not, right? So that, I mean, I am ready to accept as a parent. I have changed because the world has changed. So I also need to adopt to the new changes and new things and all those things. Then the same thing applies to my child also. So there are a lot of things. Children live in a completely a different psychological and social environment of recently. You see, in the last 10 years, the shift has been a huge, it's completely moved. So, so comparing childhoods doesn't work anymore, and that's something which commonly parents do. They typically tell that, oh, I had a pocket money of only 300 rupees. With that, I used to travel in the bus and all. All said and fine. Are you ready to send your child in the bus now? No, you aren't ready to send your child in the bus, which your parents were. Yes. So that is something which we need to accept and we need to look from. So some few things which I feel that rather than saying I'm struggling, it's important that you don't control your child, rather you connect with them. So it's like you update yourself. What is that going on? So you learn what is the current generation is all about, like where are they into it? What is the culture they prefer? So unless I don't know that, or rather, maybe I would say I would like to experience it also a bit, then I can guide my child that it's right or wrong, rather than just saying that don't use it or don't do this. That's a very statement without any explanation to your child. So it's just that your child is saying that there is no, I don't care about you. No, it might end up like this. So there is something like listen to your child, before correcting your child. I always tell parents about this, that allow your child to speak first. Don't stop, don't correct, don't justify, don't judge or anything. Let the child speak. So, as a parent, it is important that you spare an undivided time, or a time where you're not going to judge your child. It could be even, the basic, very simple. I have heard some parents saying that we watch movies together. You watch movies together, but at the same time, allow your child to talk at the same time. Go for a badminton game with your child. Play with your child for half an hour, or any sport for that matter. I'm just giving badminton. Just go play with your child. And that time you build that relation with your child where your child is ready to accept. But the first lesson out here is you cannot stop them, you cannot judge them, you cannot correct them at that moment. Listen to them, then go back, sit with them, and explain them. See, this might sound like, oh, that's too much of pampering to my child. It's not about too much of pampering to your child. If, as a parent, if I don't listen to my child, nobody's going to listen. The first person to listen is me. Let me listen. Of course, there might be a lot of issues which your child might be incorrect, or might be doing wrong, or may not have understood it rightly. So, but let them express. So, the moment you stop, you judge, or you correct them, they're not going to open up with you. They're going to stop there. They think like, oh no. They might feel that, oh, it's something wrong, and they would stop sharing with you. So, that's first thing. They'll stop sharing, certainly, because somewhere they feel like, oh, my parents don't like this. It should not be like, I don't like this, I don't approve this. It should not, it's not, the statement should not be like this. It's not, it's your call. You take it. How do you want to do? So I just want to quote something from my childhood days. So I grew up in a very typical joint family system in Mumbai. So we had our own restrictions, but my father was very liberal, very broad-minded. So whenever we want to wear something, some dress or something, like a girl child of some decades ago. So the statement my father, when we used to ask him for an approval, can I wear this? So the only statement he used to tell me is that you wear it, you look at the mirror, you feel you're convinced with it. You should have the confidence to carry it. If you feel you're convinced with that dress, you feel that you have the confidence to carry it, you don't feel it's anything wrong in it, please go ahead. So, the ball was in our court again. So I am the one who's going to judge myself now. I used to make, that's how it was. So that's something which we'll have to do with our children. We'll have to tell them that, yeah, at times we have to correct them. We have to tell them that this is not right. Sweetie, this is not right for the appropriate occasion or for it. But it's allow them to express. Children are very good at it, trust me. They are very good at it. They understand it. It's just that we need to build that relation and help them out. That's what I would say as a parent. Listen to them without correcting them. And don't tell them that, oh, मैंने वैसा किया था, मैंने ऐसा किया था. Don't tell that also. They're not interested to listen to your stories. Certainly not interested.
I love the way you have, it's so candid and it's so beautiful. I think for parents who are listening, I think one thing I really need to say, and I'm going to reiterate this because this is what came through. Thank you, Chandra. You said listen. That is becoming a very rare quality nowadays because we are bombarded with information and we are not listening to each other. We are listening to gadgets. We are listening to, I don't know, everything else other than human voices. So that's for me, I think I would like to underline that what you've said, and this is valuable because you listen to so many children. You are another parent for so many children. And if you can manage that, surely all of us can manage listening to our one or two children at home. It's not happening. And it happens because, as they say, that you don't need to wait for a special occasion. Every day is a special occasion. And we don't, sometimes just the routine gets to you and everybody just does their own thing and children don't feel heard, which is a very, very powerful thing you said. The other thing that I'm hearing, and do correct me if I've not got it correctly, is that it's important not to keep speaking about comparing your life which was a few decades, maybe a couple of decades ago, which is very, very different. Because that sometimes, and it did stop the discussion during our time, because it's almost like who is having a one up. If you're
Yeah.
having a difficulty, I'm talking about my difficulty. So the child has nothing to say because you're trying to tell the child that you're so privileged. So nothing the child says matters anymore. So, well, the discussion ends over there.
Yes,
So it is no
exactly.
discussion at all.
So
It,
you are not validating the child that I had such kind of trouble time and you're giving it. Child didn't ask for it.
exactly.
You have made
And
that for the child. You don't
totally.
want the child to go through the hardship which you have been through for whatever
Exactly.
reason.
Exactly.
Your parents might have said the same story to you, perhaps. You never know.
Yes.
They might have
Maybe
had a
they might.
worse stories to say.
Absolutely.
That's not
Absolutely.
helping. So, I mean, to just say that instead of asking the child, like, why are you like this?
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
can put a statement that, what are you dealing with that I can't see or I miss to see? That
Yes.
might help, that might build that confidence in them that, see, it's important to tell your child that, be what, I'm there for you. Because you're the only one who's going to be there for them, be what.
Very powerful.
So
Very
that
powerful.
somewhere you have to tell that whatever be it, I am there for you. Once you build that confidence, your child will be vocal about everything going through.
I
Then
think
you may
you
not need a counselor. You will be the best counselor for your child.
absolutely, absolutely, yes. Because what happens is the closeness, and what you're saying is paramount importance. We don't have many children. We live in nuclear families, and we are not listening to each other. Also, there is a lot of judgment happening from parents' side. That, as you said rightly, that somewhere you're giving the message that we had a very difficult time, and we just
Hmm.
suck up and just deal with it. Now you're not creating any space for the child to, and then the same parents, and as a counselor, I remember this happening. How come the child is talking to you and not to me? There's to be parents used to feel very hurt. So you have to tell them, and I think what you said it very beautifully, that you have to create a space for someone to feel safe enough to speak. What we talk about psychologically safe spaces, are our homes psychologically safe? We need to ask. Maybe
Yes.
they are meant to be, but then it's not happening. Maybe not because you don't mean it to be. Maybe you're too tired. Maybe you're busy. Because children are looking at you, and maybe somewhere you're modeling behavior which they are not able to understand, because you're saying one thing and doing the other. I think it's very powerful what you said. So, parents, when you're listening, please listen to your children and create that space, because you are the last. You are the last mile. You are the last, first and the last person who is the child's safe space. So, I think that was a
Absolutely.
beautiful. Thank you so
Home is
much.
the safest of all, and the parents are the best counselor, mentor, guide, I would say, than
And if they
anyone.
can, if they recognize it, things will be so much better, because anyway we are struggling. We don't have, parents also don't have it very easy. So my next question is coming in that context, and a lot of
Yeah.
my questions are connected, but these are the things which we ask parents, and which keep coming up again and again in different forms. So I'm sure you will have a very, because this is something actually parents are concerned about. A lot of parents come and say that, I have, to give you a very clear example, I have done this for my child, they are put in the best school, we give them good pocket money, we get them what they want, we have put them in this class and that class and all that. And these children are not grateful, they're so entitled. This
Hmm.
is a word I hear again and again, that I am working so hard and these children are so entitled. And I sometimes wonder, where does it end? And this is actually sometimes said in front of the children, which bothers me. But what do you feel? Because I agree that children have more gadgets, more clothes, more comfortable lives. Maybe they probably have rooms of their own. They have more, they have more entertainment avenues. But parents and a lot of people who work with children say that, oh, this is an entitled generation. What do you have to say about that?
Uh, nice. I mean, I really like this because something which I always think about it. Why do we call it entitled? They didn't ask for it. It's me who gave them. It's not the child who said that I want it with the child. So first thing I would say that, I mean, many parents might not like this, but they came through you but not by you. So it's just that uh, you were part of it to get them into this world, but that doesn't mean that you are the you have the control over them, or you are the one who's the supreme authority or something like that. Entitled, see, from the first day when I start giving it, obviously my child is feeling entitled out there. You are not going to make it as a, you can't expect gratitude from your own child for it. Yeah, agree. They do have gratitude, but they certainly they have it. It's not that they don't have it, but they don't belong to that. That they're going to say thank you for everything, because it's not that they feel that it's they feel it's just part of the culture. It is. See, with all these things over the years, if you have seen something, is that the children are aware about rights. They're aware about what is true, and the obedience or the discipline at home has become very, I mean, it's less fear based, I would say now. That's because that's how the parents have been. uh, children have been encouraged to express their needs. So needs means it's not that your basic needs of food, clothing, shelter, or something more than that. Children are being encouraged to talk about best of cars, best of gadgets. Parents are happy with that conversation. They're very proud. I've seen some parents who have been very proud about that the child can identify thousands of cars or can use the gadget at the age of 2 or the age of 4. All that perfectly fine. So I have given that exposure to my child with all those things. So I cannot ask my child to be show gratitude towards me or should be grateful to me. That's what my thought out here is, that it's something which I gave it. Now, what are we losing here is that we are not setting boundaries, or we are setting boundaries, but we are not consistent. We are very inconsistent with the boundaries. That's something which it, and all kind of discomfort is removed. No, children are not put into that situation at all. So to just quote about it, I'm sure most of the parents and you will be aware about Jiddu Krishnamurti, the naturalism philosophy. I'm a big fan of Jiddu Krishnamurti because there is something which certainly, the nature certainly helps you to learn. So I always feel that it's important to, so I use a word called spiritual ecology. At times you need to have a vacation, have a holiday at certain places where your children have, the discomfort is there for them. They don't have that 5-star place to stay or the 7-star food to eat. No, that's okay. I mean, the problem with parents are, I'm not judging them, or I'm not criticizing them. It's okay to go to Universal Studios for a vacation, but at the same time, can you take them to a national park, to a tiger reserve, or to a wildlife sanctuary for a day or two, where they stay in those jungle cottages? They get a basic food like dal chawal and roti, not those fancy stuff. They will learn something out there. They connect with the nature. See, connecting with flora and fauna is, that experience will build some understanding, which will build some gratitude. They will feel that humbleness towards the nature, towards the ecology, all that. So that will also help. This is something which I know. Connecting with the nature always keep you grounded, keep you humble. They learn from the nature. No, the nature also helps them to heal. See, when you see the how the food chain is in the forest, you don't understand. It's not easy. There's a lot of struggle with it. So all these also helps, but unfortunately, as parents, I would put as we don't, because we don't want our children to have that discomfort. We feel holidays or vacations are for luxury. Perfectly fine, because we need that break. We are not ready to sacrifice. We prefer that place. I mean, we are more happy to show Burj Khalifa to our children than to show the beautiful ecology of our country. Take them to beautiful forest, that that place which is away from the basic human touch. Take them, make them feel, live in that garden, live in that cottage with basics, with no television, no gadgets, because there's no mobile network. Also, you will connect well with your child at that time because you are also not distracted. It's only you and your child is with you. So you have a lot of time because we as parents are also not giving enough because we are also busy with the gadgets. So that's
Beautifully
something
said.
which I would suggest. Yeah.
I think it's such an eye opener that when we call somebody something without realizing that we have created that world for the child. Also, as parents, we are the doorways into what is real, what is precious, what is important. And I think you've said something very, very valuable, that we are not giving the right, um, we're just not giving the right education, for want of a better word, because we are so far away from nature and so comfortable in our comforts. One day the AC is not working and there's a problem. A small moth enters the house and everybody gets hassled. So we have
Internet,
moved far away.
if there is a lag in the internet,
Oh,
we
and
are
there's
like,
this chaos everywhere, chaos. So what, we are giving mixed messages. As you said, that holidays are becoming about luxury. So that is the message, you're giving the children. So the entitlement is coming because they're only reflecting, children are mirrors. They will reflect what they see. So it's very nice and easy to go, oh, in our days, but right now you're taking a holiday in a fancy place. So and then you say, oh, these children are very expensive because you have got them used to that.
exactly.
Important. The other thing is, parents are more worried about not being connected because that's what the children learn. So if you cannot bear to be away from your office for even a few hours, then the children are understanding that that's the way to be. So are you able to cut off everything and prioritize your child? Then the child will be able to do the same thing, which is a absolutely brilliant thing that you said. I mean,
So beautifully, you concluded that. Am I ready to cut my social time? Cut
exactly. So,
my
so it's easy
then
to
I can
call
expect my child to do for me. But
totally.
when
And the
I am
child,
busy scrolling on Instagram and expect
yes,
my child to talk to me, it's not going to work.
because also how much do we share? You know, in the process of protecting children, we sometimes protect them. In the process of protecting, we don't tell them things. As children are supposed to grow organically. You as you grow older, you need to learn the realities of life. So if you're going to not, if you keep going to shield them and then one day think that the child is not, I think that's a brilliant thing that you said. You've really, really turned the argument on its head. Bravo. I think parents are really going to, I mean, it's a wake up call. I would, this was like, oh wait, my aha moment. So thank you so much, Chandra. This was amazing.
I feel by the end of the session, the parents are going to say that she just favors children, not parents. I
No,
myself.
you are the biggest advocate, and I think children need that, because many times we silence them because we are older, because we are parents, because we expect respect, and then few years later you wonder, why does not my child speak to me? Because you have never created that space, or you have judged. And this is a very typical thing, and I must share this with you. As a counselor, many times this has come. They say that, and I hope parents are listening and pardon me. This is not to spotlight you, but this is actually what many children have said. They say our parents tell us that you can say anything to me. Okay, I'm here for you. I will listen. I am there for you. The moment you tell them something, then they start scolding you. So the children said, "What is real? Do they really mean this?" And I said, "Yeah, this is very confusing because you say the right things, but you don't really mean them, because then you wouldn't." So the children make, so as children, we've done it always. When you realize that a parent or an elder person is losing it, you realize that yes, the message here is that you will do what you feel like, but you will not tell them that. That's how the children behave. That's how the youth is. We were like that too. So
They
why I
are
was
those soft clay, and I'm the one who's going to mold them into what shape I want it.
beautiful, beautifully said.
So if I there's something clay, it has to be molded at the right time, otherwise it'll dry up. Then I
Yes.
cannot mold what I want to do. At the same time, I can keep molding as far as it is soft. But once it's dried up, I cannot. So I need to by that time work with my child at that time. I cannot. After the age of 18, I cannot go back and discipline my child. So
True.
Just want to touch upon some more things. Just one thing, like a lot of parents want to pass on this message. I'm not sure whether it is part of your. They say that I need to sit with my child for my child to study. I think that is something which parents need to understand, that you motivate your child to study on their own. See how long you're going to sit. At
Yes.
Montessori days, grade 1, grade 2, perhaps, as it grows, pardon me, they'll also grow. You will also grow. You won't have the time. You won't have the bandwidth to fit with them. The curriculum will go beyond your knowledge. But if you have built that culture of sitting with your child, they expect you. You might lose out. With age, your anger, everything will increase. So it's better that as young they are, make them accountable for that. That's what I would like to add on.
Very, very well said. Thank you. Because we have had, it's phenomenal. Mothers are very, when sometimes they are very proud of saying that, the child doesn't study until I sit with them. And then they say that I have spent so much time and energy, so many years of my life for my child. And look at my child, how it is now. So you are setting some kind of weird precedent for them. I don't know whether that's correct or not, because the child didn't ask you to drop everything and sit with you. And parents will say, oh, I did nothing. I could have done so much. All I did was, I was a driver. I dropped you from one class to the other. The child didn't even ask. And I know children who say, I hate so and so because I was forced to do this. Then the parents, you're right. And also this fear, of, oh, what if the child doesn't do well? So I'm going to sit with the child and I'm going to do their homework. And I mean, we all know parents are doing children's projects. Who is learning? I don't know what's going on. And then when the child has to manage on their own, then there is a very big problem, because the child has always been hands have been held. Everybody feels cheated because the parent feels that I've given too much. The child feels I was not allowed to do anything on my own. And you're not allowing the child to make mistakes, because the biggest problem in your life is that score, score, score. You don't see anything beyond that.
Oh, allow
So,
them to fail once. It's okay. They learn from it. I always
exactly.
believe it's okay. They can fail. So now the problem here is that the parents don't want to take it because they have their socio-economic boundaries where they can't afford this. They have their own setup where people will question them. So it's the fear for the parent, not for the child, which you're building up. So it's good that allow the child, make the child accountable for whatever work they are doing it. It's okay. Once or twice they may fail. They might not reach to your expectations, but I'm very certain that over the period of time, the child will understand and they will start doing better. We see this lot of children who are extremely good in academics till their primary school. But when they come to senior school, there is a major drop. That's because
Yes.
the parents are not sitting with them. The parents are no more monitoring them. The child
Yes.
has never was not able to do it on their own.
Yes. No
And then you end
improvement.
up blaming the child, saying that, oh, that's because of your peer influence, that's because of your gadget time, that's because of your social time, all those things. It's just that allow, as young as a grade 1, allow the child to write. Let the child make a project on its own, however it is, it's okay. May get a C grade. I mean, teachers also very well understand what is done by the child and what is done by the parent.
The parents. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
You know,
Uh,
it is. I'm sorry, I interrupted you, but I've actually heard, and I hope this is not true, that you can actually outsource children's projects, and I was shocked.
oh, yes, yes,
Okay,
very
I
much.
mean, to ask you this because I said this is another level altogether.
Yes,
So who's
yes.
learning? The person who's getting the project.
Yeah, it is. There are shops. We have personally visited some shops and we have seen that actually they do the entire project. And they give it.
I think this is something seriously wrong, because clearly the child can't go out and buy them on their own. It is the
So here
parents who are
also,
getting
here
it.
what happens, because I had an interaction with a couple of parents on this. That's why I wanted to share.
Hmm.
So one of the parents, when I asked, I mean, what made you do that? He said, like,
Hmm. Hmm.
during the parent-teacher meeting, you display all these projects. The schools display
Okay.
all these projects. So I wanted my child's project as the best project on display. I just asked the parent, do you think a teacher or another parent who's there for the parent teacher meeting will believe that this project is done by your grade 2 child? Certainly not, right? They understand. So how is that going to help you? Rather, allow your child to do. Maybe it might look as a shabby work, but it is the child's creativity which is
It's their
nurtured.
own work. Yes, yes, yes.
So
But
foster that in
on
the
joke
children.
apart, this I've just heard about it. I'm sure you deal with these things because
Yes.
this is some another level of bizarre. But it only shows, and as you said very rightly, it is only showing the parents' attitude. Where you want the child to win at any cost, where you don't mind cutting corners simply to project to the world something. So your child is not as much an individual as your own badge of honor or something. Now that's a problem, as you said very rightly, because then the words entitlement and everything comes from there. I've had and I'm going to bring this up because it's just going to agree with what you said. As a counselor, I had a mother coming to me saying, my daughter's way too interested in makeup. So I asked her, okay, I mean, it's normal because there's a lot of interest in makeup happening. I asked her how old she is, and that surprised me a bit. She said she's in sixth standard. So I said, well, where does she wear the makeup? Because in school, clearly it's not
Of
allowed.
course not.
I mean, I'm sure no school would allow that. And her obsession is fine, but I had a question. I mean, where does she get the makeup? She said, oh, we just indulge her once in a while. We got her that way. So I don't think a child can go and buy makeup on their own, right? So, or clothes which are very fancy. So somewhere you can blame, but you also know that, the child is not going to do these things on their own. Where you are part of the problem. So it's good that I'm glad you spoke about the projects because it's way too much. This makeup, this projects, the way they dress, all these come as complaints from parents, whereas we all know that the child is incapable of going out and buying anything on their own, which is
Yes.
just not possible. No child can do that. So here,
I, as a parent, have exposed my child to it. I
yes,
cannot complain after that.
exactly.
If I
So
couldn't take a right decision at what age, what I have to introduce to my child, how will my child know? They have never experienced it at all. I agree, parent. You as a parent, we as a parent also is the first time. Similarly, they are also living their life for the first
no, no, very true. Very, very well said. I think it is funny, but it's actually quite an issue. So that comes to my, important question. You've already answered something that I was going to ask you. So I'm going to skip the thing about the struggles of the children and youth. I think we've covered most of them. Now, I want to ask you this question, and it's a bit tricky, but do let us know what you feel. Um, what's the right amount of, because a parent's job is not easy. You are disciplining, you are loving, you are caring, you're also holding back. I mean, you got to do many, many things which are uh, like sometimes at odds with each other. So, what kind of parenting is required? Because we've all come from a very strict parenting space, and that was considered a child being scolded or a parent not praising the child was considered pretty normal because parents will assume that it would go to your head. So there are parents still like that, and there are parents very lenient. And right now we're very confused. Like, what is the right thing to do? How should parents be with children? What should be their, you know, I mean, I don't want like to use the word disciplining, but I mean, it's true that parents like, yes, you're friendly, but you're not your child's friend. You do have other duties also. You do. The upbringing is your job. So there are times when you have to take the not so pleasant stuff of explaining, of, as you said, boundaries, everything. So how does one parent today? I mean, this is a question which all of us want to know about.
I would rather, I mean, I would like to answer as a parent than as an educator in this. I personally feel that either being too strict or too lenient, both are not going to help your child. So, so the child should have respect for you. Child should understand you as well, and it should not be a fear. It should be a confidence in the child for you. So the moment it is fear, the child is going to hide things from you. If it's a confidence, child has confidence in the parents. The child, out of respect or out of love, out of that, the child might express well with you. So, so there are a lot of times I understand as a parents, we do have a huge amount of stress, huge amount of burden on us. So sometimes we might not approve of them, or we say a straight no, you know, but that's not going to help the child, because a straight no is just going to say that why. They might turn rebel. That's what. Uh, or a straight no will make them a rebel. And every time, too much of obedience, too much of no strictness might end up having again being rebellion, or there might be even a situation where they will withdraw themselves from it. That is also possible. That lot of, and it's somehow going to affect them emotionally, because they are not going to express once they feel that my parents are too strict. They don't want to even listen to me. At the same time, when you're too lenient, the self-discipline takes a toll, no doubt about it, because it's a balance. You need to know where to be strict and where to be lenient. That it's a fine balance. And I always believe, as a parent, you will be able to take a right call. You just have to you just listen to your heart, where I should do, what I should do. You know, um, it becomes like when you are too lenient, the children think that they feel entitled with everything out there. So they are not ready to listen to any no. So it's important that I set a clear expectation. I built a consistent boundaries. I always use the word consistent. Boundaries are different, and consistently maintaining that boundaries is very different. It cannot alter for my own personal needs out there. It should remain the same. Be emotionally available for your parent, for your child, whenever you are there, as far as possible. So it's just like, don't run behind uh, fulfilling, or competing with your socio-economic cultural standards. Don't lead to that comparison with your child. Like Hindi mein sehte, I mean, like the Three Idiots movie, I like that movie for the certain part of it. Sharma ji ke bete ne kiya. That's not going to help. Are you Sharma ji? No, you're not Sharma ji. Why do we do that? So even these things, the children start thinking about it. Uh, you don't have to reward your child with materialistic thing. You know, it's something which I've been often seeing with the parents. In fact, today I had a meeting with a parent where the parent said that the child had some promise that will do exceptionally good and managed to do it. So I bought a new mobile phone. Uh, I was like, I asked, what's the problem with the mobile phone? No, it's just that her mobile phone is 2 years old and she's been asking for the latest one. So since she's being so good, exceptionally doing good with academics, so I thought I'll reward her with a good new mobile phone. I was not happy with that. I mean, I said, that's not the right way to reward your child. Doing good with academics is something that the child has to do on her own, not because of the reward which you're going to do for it. So these things, and a lot of times I've seen this also. It's like, I cannot use the word. You compensate your unavailability with materialistic things. So, I have seen certain situations. I don't, hopefully, none of my known people counter with this. You want to have a party, you want to hang out with your friends. That day, your child's screen time is increased, because want your child to be part of it. You want to leave your child behind. So, how do you do it? You give that extra screen time to your child. So, this is where I'm saying that consistent boundaries are not working. I agree. It doesn't mean as a parent I have to sacrifice my personal life or something. But we'll have to somewhere balance it. And you'll at least have to explain the child that why am I giving you extra time here? And how am I going to compensate on another day when I'm not extra be available for you? So that has to be there. Explain things to them. I also feel uh, emotionally stable parents can provide better parenting. It's important that I work on my mental health before thinking about my child. I know
Beautiful.
we as parents are the most sandwich generation, because we carry the values of our parents, but we want to live the life of our children. Because when we see how entitled they are, we were like, oh my God, how privileged they are because they got all this which I don't get. At the same time, our parents have put some values on us which says that this is how a ideal life has to be. So that's why we have to create that balance. I mean, only lesson, only I mean, the only thing which I would share with the parents: don't run behind perfection. Allow your child to participate. Participation is better than perfection. Unless I don't participate, I'm not going to explore myself. I'm not going to learn. It's okay to fail. It's okay. Perfectly fine. You don't have to just say always you have to be number one. It's okay to be like, again from the same movie if you count, number two को भी value है, number three को भी value है, ऐसा नहीं है, it's not that, because number one एक ही हो सकता है. So it's okay. The others can also, you can do at best of what you can. Where you number one, where you a state topper, where you all India ranker, no, but you want your child to be.
True.
That's not fair for the children. I feel it's okay. Sometimes your child might not do good, sometimes your child might do exceptionally good, but don't reward them with a materialistic thing at the same time. And when they don't do it, just don't get angry. Tell your child it's okay. We can work best next time. We can do it. That will help the children much better, I feel.
Amazing, amazing, Chandra. I think, such a wealth of information. You are showing us the mirror as parents and as older, the grown-ups, because I think, as you said very rightly, the pitfalls are also ours. We set an arbitrary, idealistic set of rules which the children have no idea. Someday, as you said, when you are inconsistent, someday because it's convenient to to the parents, there's much of screen time. Otherwise, you're getting scolded for the same thing. You're being bought material things, then you're being told you're entitled. So a lot of confusing messages going out there. Consistent boundaries, I think, so important. And what you said has stayed with me very much because many times, even as a counselor, I'm told the problem children are sent to me. So okay, this one is like this. um, One, I don't like the adjective, but anyway, there's always a reason. And academic performance seems to be at the top of everybody's mind, like the child is some kind of, I mean, you're not a circus performer that you've got to get the jump right all the time. And who are you performing for? Who is the audience? So somewhere I think these things we have to think about. And this is about looking into the mirror, as you said rightly, that what are your values? How is your mental health? What are you modeling to the children? Are you emotionally stable or not? Because I know, there's been a huge problem of children using abusive language. And that is one more thing that comes to me as a counselor. And 90% of the time, they have learned this at home. The fathers
Absolutely, very
exactly.
much.
You are like, okay, what am I fighting? What am I doing this? And you speak, and then there is all because the children tell you very confidently. Children are they're very open and very transparent. So here, it's very nice to say this Gen Alpha is difficult, this and that. It's all about looking within, knowing how consistent you are. As you said rightly, look into the mirror. Are you sane? Are you stable? Are you consistent? Because that's the message. Children are not going to do what you say, they're going to do what you do. And they're going to imbibe those values by, I don't think anybody's going to like a big lecture. I mean, we all have made fun of elders who give us lectures, right? So, I
Yeah.
mean,
Just
so
to
what?
add on to this, so I
Yes.
had an discussion with a parent some years ago. So
Hmm.
the parent said that my child will do engineering, only engineering.
Okay.
Perfect. So your child has the skill for engineering, I asked.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, what was the answer from the parent was that I've been showing my child the videos of Google Office. And I'm
Okay.
telling my child that you do engineering, you can work at this beautiful Google Office.
Oh,
How
goodness. Okay.
amazing it is.
Hmm. Hmm.
That immediately struck me. What am I telling my child? I mean, Google Office is my objective in life, or that's something is
Yes.
my dream profession. Why, as a parent, I am not telling my child to build a skill than a job? So,
It's
I
always about the prize, right? It's the fancy prize
mean,
that you get.
fancy thing, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, engineering is a skill. You build that in your child, get that passion for your child, that how I can learn, how I can, rather than showing videos of Google Office, how beautiful it is, how
In
fancy it
some
is. Look at their cafeteria, look at their workstations. I was like, in fact, I won't believe. I just kept quiet. I said, perfect.
this is this is I can see you must have I don't know how many parents must have spoken to you, and I can see someone laughing, but it's actually very tragic because this is what we tell our children, that please aspire for this. And the child takes that message, and someday the child, many years later, may not want that, and then they will blame you because they'll say, you made me do this. There's so many children who change their professions and say, I didn't want to do it, but nobody asked me. Okay, because livelihood is a big thing. But if you only, I mean, this is some kind of madness that you say, okay, do this. The child gets brainwashed into it, and there
Yeah,
is this whole
exactly.
atmosphere which tells the children. So we are not we are not expecting them to listen to their own voice. We're not expecting them to explore. So maybe there is a great golf player out there. There is a great artist out there. There is a great singer. There's a great teacher, but we've killed them all because we've told them some dream which is pretty bizarre. Maybe the child doesn't even want this.
Yeah.
But I think it's a
But
huge, huge lesson for
so
all.
there's a lot of counseling required for parents than children,
I
I would rather say.
yeah. You're doing it so beautifully despite meeting so many people. You're doing it in a very gentle, generous, and non-confrontational way. So I'm sure that many a parent is like we have, taken so much away from this wonderful conversation, which is not at all like preaching, and it's beautiful because a lot of things that you've said are staying with us, and I
Yes.
hope everyone who's listened takes away. This conversation will also be available on our channel, so we would love you to share it also. But I know for sure that there are going to be many things that you have said will be quoted by us in the future when we are having these conversations. So it's lovely. I can't see any questions because I think you probably have answered mostly everything before anybody asked. I can't see any questions. And if they come in, everyone who's listening, maybe you're processing what is being told to you. If there are any questions which come up later, please feel free to send them to us. We will definitely send them to Chandra and get her to answer them. I'm saying this on your behalf. But it was a fantastic session. Is there any, uh, you know, parting, piece of information, advice, something that you would like to tell us? Because it's been a very, very valuable 1 hour.
Uh, First, let me thank the team of Sthir, Parents Ki Paathshala, for giving me this opportunity to express. I hope I am able to make some productive conversation, help to say something which is relevant, which is helpful for the parents. May take something, maybe, as I said, may not be always right. We as humans will obviously have our own perspective, our own thoughts, may be wrong at times. Pardon me for that if I have somewhere I have said something incorrect. Although, one message which I would like to tell parents, I always tell my parents, or rather, I personally, parents cannot be friends. Don't try to be their friends. I don't believe in that statement that I am my child's best friend. No, it cannot work. It cannot work. So don't tell that. Rather be their mentor, guide, comforter, counselor. And you can police them when required. Friend will not do that.
True,
So
true.
that is something which I would like to conclude by saying to the parents that let parent be parent. You have a role as a parent. Don't digress it by becoming a friend, saying that I hear a lot of parents saying that my child is my best friend. I'm my best friend to my child. You cannot be. Trust me, you cannot. Parent can never be a friend. Let the friend do the friend's role. Let me as a parent do my role. Let's not confuse between the roles. So let's do that. That's something which I would like to tell all the parents who are watching. I'm sure all parents are doing a fabulous job. We as parents will never go wrong with our child. It's just that sometimes our expectations, our work, our pressure, the society pressure, the family pressure, the peer pressure, we all also go through the same thing. We might make some small mistakes in our life. Okay, tell your child, I'm always there with you. Be what I am there with you. That will give enough. Just hug your child and say, be what I'm there. That will help your child, make your child as a better human being and a better citizen. That's what eventually, at the end, we want better citizens. We want better human beings. If you can do that, it will help your child. Right. Thank you, Deepaji. It was so pleasure talking to you. I always have enjoyed. I mean, the conversation with you is always interesting.
It's so beautiful. I think, it has a spiritual aspect to what you said because, this is something we forget. And what you said is actually the most beautiful thing I've heard. And I hope parents are listening. You have a very, very big, very important job. Do not underestimate it and do not make it sound, when you say, I'm your child's best friend or something, you're actually not giving it its due.
Yeah.
And I think this is the absolutely by far the most important thing I've heard. Thank you so much because, as I said, there is no, the most important job in the world, we like to say, has no training. We have so many education, so much training for all the jobs that we take up. But
Yeah.
parenting as a job is the hardest, and there is no training for it. So we would, which is where Parents Ki Paathshala came in, and we are very, very grateful to wonderful people like you. Who I know that the children who have studied under you have really taken away something very, very precious. Thank you
I
so
hope
much,
so. Thank you
and
so
for the lovely words, the smiles, the wisdom, and the kindness. We're so
Thank
grateful.
you so much.